really came, like, again, what I was getting at with, after we industrialize and realize we don't want all of our children working in these horrendous factory conditions. We don't want, all of our housewives working there either. And we decided essentially we don't want slave labor or very close to slave labor within our own borders anymore. So we found China to take on and become our slaves. And this is controversial, but every great society that has ever been built, or any great civilization, has been built on the back of slavery. And I think now we're in a position, we're trying to figure out who our slaves are going to be. And obviously we don't want our own people, becoming the quote unquote slaves. So it's either, are we going to pick up the pace to become leaders in robotics and robotics manufacturing? Or are we going to have to find another China and continue to kick the can down the road and, have to rip off the Band-Aid in another 40, 60, 80 years?
Well, the transition over the last 40 years that's still moving forward is towards advanced manufacturing, automation. And, when we talk about robotics, a lot of times we think in terms of, C-3PO or
R2-D2.
Well, R2-D2 is a less sophisticated form, but not all your robots are going to be able to talk and walk around and
grab objects and
replace what a human does. But it's a big but, because when we automate, we take the labor out of the production and replace it with machine automation that is we take the repetitive, boring slave labor element out of it and replace it with automation. That's not necessarily a general purpose robot.
Right.
That, in the 1990s, we took the circuit board assembly operation and we looked all over the world for who had the best manufacturing machinery for us to build that in Georgia. And we found that Panasonic out of Osaka, Japan, had the best surface mount equipment for creating a continuous production line, so that we'd start with an empty board on one end of the line. It would go through several different machines. It'd go through a machine that put capacitors on, go through a machine that put resistors on, it'd go through a machine that mounted integrated circuits, and several, whatever the different components were. And by the time it came out of the end of the line where no one had touched it, it would get to the station where a robot would pick it up, put it on a tester, test to make sure everything was accurate, and either put it on the good line to go to get packed or on the bad line to get repaired. And nobody touched it from one end to the other. Now, there were people all up and down, there were people all up and down that line who were running the machines, loading the components in the machines, running the machines, maintaining the machines. So it's not like we got rid of all the people, it's just we changed the nature of their job. And in doing so, we also increased the output capacity significantly through that automation.
Yeah, I think that's the key takeaway. Oftentimes it's, computers are going to take our jobs. Robots are going to take our jobs, and we see that, yes, certain jobs go away, but new jobs pop up. And I think they're more often than not, if people really thought about what they want to do in life, it opens up more jobs closer to what they want to do to, pursue their creative pursuits, right?
Well, the robotics companies that I'm currently working with think about it more as complementing your job instead of replacing your job.
Right.
We want to take the dangerous part, the repetitive part, the boring part. We want to let the machine do that. And if you're an intelligent person, then your job is to interact with the machine and take care of the exceptions when they occur and do the things the machine's not good at doing. Now, gradually over time, the machine will get better at doing more and more things, but I don't imagine ever having a lights out factory where there's nobody there
Right.
and the machines are tending the machines.